Hello, Chiefs Kingdom. Happy Hump Day. Today, we heard from several Chiefs about the Week 5 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They broke it down in their press conferences. So, we're going to get into what those guys had to say about that game and also what they had to say about the upcoming Week 6 matchup. Let's get right into this thing. So like I kind of foreshadowed off the top, we've got three things on the agenda today, Chiefs Kingdom. Number one, we're going to talk about the press conferences. We heard from a couple significant Chiefs, and I think there were a few big things that every Chiefs fan should know and that we should all discuss coming out of that Week 5 game and looking ahead to the Week 6 matchup on Sunday Night Football against the Detroit Lions. Secondly, the PFF grades are in from this game. We're going to talk about the wild stats that I saw coming out of Week 5, and then we're going to look ahead at that Week 6 matchup. But first, I need some help from you guys. I've been asking the bosses. I've been seeing your guys' comments. I know you guys want us to be live on game day, even this Sunday against the Detroit Lions. And I asked the bosses, what do we got to do to get back on the live streams? And they told me they need to see more sub growth. So that's where you guys come in. Get down there, click that subscribe button. Let me be able to walk into their office with this video, say, hey guys, we got 20 to 30 new subs on this video. The Chiefs Kingdom is fired up. They want live streams. Let's get us live. So, moving into the press conference takeaways, we heard from four significant Chiefs. Head coach Andy Reid spoke today. Patrick Mahomes spoke today. Nick Bolton and Isiah Pacheco finished it off with some brief conversation as well. And four big things to take away. We'll get into all of these individually afterwards. Firstly, Andy Reid says he is not worried about Harrison Butker. Number two, Mahomes emphasizes the need to make quote-unquote winning plays, something we discussed yesterday. Number three, the evolution of the left side of our offensive line was heavily praised by Isiah Pacheco. And four, there were multiple references to, quote, not pointing fingers by Nick Bolton. Isiah Pacheco also said some things to hint at this as well. But let's get into those Butker comments first. They're frustrating. They are. But they're also not surprising, and they're also very much understandable. This is the pattern for Andy Reid in a lot of ways, and the pattern for this Chiefs staff on the whole. They're fiercely loyal to guys, almost stubbornly so, in a way that I think can hurt us occasionally. As much as Andy Reid is a great coach, one of the greatest in NFL history, as much as we're extremely lucky to have him, if there is a flaw, it's that kind of stubborn loyalty. And he compared Harrison's struggles to struggles one might have in a golf game. Said that Harrison is going to need to just swing through this one. Well, man, he's been trying. He's missed 5 total kicks this season. From beyond 40 yards, he is 4 for 7, an area in which he was incredibly effective in the past. And he is 5 for 10 on his last 10 kicks from beyond 50 yards, going back to last season. If the struggles continue, Harrison Butker has got to go. We talked about this in yesterday's video. Nobody can take away from Harrison Butker what he contributed to the Chiefs historically, what he did that helped us win 3 Super Bowls. But his time has come. The game passes everybody by. Like I said yesterday, this is a what have you done for me lately league. And lately, Butker has really struggled, including that special teams penalty that absolutely killed us in Week 5. Let's move on, though, to the comments made by Nick Bolton and a little bit by Pacheco as well about not pointing fingers. And I don't think you have to be an expert in reading between the lines here to figure out what they're talking about. They even kind of directly addressed it very briefly, although nobody wanted to take questions on the topic of Chris Jones's effort on the final play. The reporters, to their credit, they asked the tough questions here, and the final answers that we got from pretty much everybody was, we're not going to point fingers. We're going to stick together as a team, and we're not going to blame each other. And I know that's a frustrating response because obviously Chris Jones should take some blame for this, and I'm sure internally he is. I'm sure he feels awful about this. But as a teammate, you have to respond this way. This is the way anyone who's ever played a team sport in their life, even if it wasn't football, you know that you win and you lose as a team. You come together when you make mistakes. You have to do that because you're going to have to keep playing through this season together. We can't have infighting over one mistake because it's going to just trigger more mistakes down the line. As fans, as commentators, we can look at this image and call out Chris Jones's lack of effort. I did so yesterday. I ripped him to shreds. But a teammate has to be more understanding. A teammate has to come from a different place because that teammate, again, has to continue to play and win games with Chris Jones. You got to be in the locker room with that guy. So I 100% understand that approach from Nick Bolton, and it extended a little bit from Isiah Pacheco. Speaking of Isiah Pacheco, in his brief segment, he spoke extremely highly of the left side of the offensive line. He was asked how he feels about the development, how his trust has developed in that side of the line, and he praised their growth. He praised their increased chemistry, and he says he has a ton of trust in those guys. And I think he's really talking about Josh Simmons in this one. And something that, on me, guys, I failed to bring it up yesterday. Josh Simmons was a late addition to the injury report. On Monday evening, right before kickoff, he was added to our injury report with a, quote, illness and was listed as questionable. This was a bit of a panic moment for me. I was tweeting about it. If you guys are following me on Twitter at jdurham_fball, definitely do that. Tweeting about the Chiefs all the time. But instead of a rough game, instead of what I think a lot of rookies, just a lot of people in general would do when you're playing sick, when you're playing with an illness, we got a Michael Jordan-esque flu game from Josh Simmons. Even in a loss, he was fantastic. And I really feel like we've got a franchise left tackle here. A 76.1 PFF grade. That's his highest overall of the season. He allows just 2 pressures on 46 pass blocking snaps. He does not allow a sack. And something that's been an issue for Josh Simmons earlier in the season, absolutely 0 penalties in the entire game, in pass protection and in run blocking. He's dealt with a few holding issues early on in the season. Doesn't seem like that's starting to be an issue after 3 straight games with a clean sheet. And in run blocking, he's transitioning beautifully to our zone run scheme. It's getting better and better every week. Early on, there were a few rookie errors early on, but that kind of makes sense. He plays in a gap running scheme at Ohio State. This is very different, but he's quickly learning. You see why he was praised so much for his effort level, for his coachability this offseason by the Kansas City Chiefs staff. And you see it in the stat sheet as well. The Chiefs are averaging almost 5 yards per carry when we run left. And think about the struggles we've had running as a team. This is a huge win for us. And it should be a really easy decision for the Chiefs staff and for the Chiefs on offense to just continue running left. And speaking of decisions, you and I, we make them every day. But on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. That's right. Andy Reid and Matt Nagy could get paid for running left with Josh Simmons. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. And something else that's really cool that you can also do is follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app. You can copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or someone whose picks you just really like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feeds tab on PrizePicks. Speaking of, guys, I've got my lineup put together for this week. I've got Cameron Ward. We're going with the more on his passing yards. Geno Smith, divisional rival Raiders, we're taking the less on his passing yards. He's really struggled this season, thrown a bunch of interceptions. We're going to hope he struggles again. And then we're riding with our guy, Patrick Mahomes. We're going to take the more on his passing yards. Tail me on this lineup, fade me on this lineup, whatever you do, just do it at PrizePicks because PrizePicks puts their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. All right, so let's get into, I promised you guys wild stats off the top, and I have got them. The PFF numbers are in from our Week 5 matchup against the Jacksonville Jags, and they're not really that good. Not going to lie about it at all. Don't think that should be a huge surprise, especially on defense. This was a rough one at times. We had 13 missed tackles in this game, guys. 6 of those on Nick Bolton, Shamari Connor, and Jaden Hicks. Just a brutal performance from a tackling perspective. But it doesn't end there. We had 3 defensive backs in this game with PFF coverage grades below 50, and Shamari Connor and Jaden Hicks were below 45. Once again, Shamari Connor showing up on this list, and once again, frustrating the hell out of me. Because instead of Shamari Connor, you know who we could have out there? We could have Noel Williams. We've talked about him time and time again. Our 3rd-round pick out of California, who had played beautifully in replace of Christian Fulton, and with Shamari Connor seeing less snaps. For some reason, that went in the entire other direction in week 5. Noel played just 4 snaps in this game, and our DBs were as bad as they were. That's extremely frustrating. That's bad personnel management by Steve Spagnuolo. There's no two ways about that. Let's get back into those stats, though. Trevor Lawrence, a 3.39 average seconds to throw in this game. That is the most he has ever had in his entire NFL career. And if you look at the pressure stats, it's a little confusing because he actually did take on a lot of pressure, but that's because he was standing back there forever because the pressure wasn't coming until so late, and he frequently escaped it when it did. And moving over to the offensive side, picked on our defense a lot in this section, our receivers went 0 for 6 on contested catch opportunities, on 50-50 balls, quote unquote. That's not 50%. It doesn't take a mathematician to figure that one out. We have got to come down with a higher percentage of 50-50 ball opportunities. You've got to help out Patrick Mahomes as a receiver in some of these situations. It's pretty impressive that his stats looked as good as they did when he obviously barred the interception with that kind of lack of help in those contested catch situations. But I want to hear from you guys on this one. Before we get into this Week 6 preview, is the Week 6 matchup with the Detroit Lions a must-win game? Type Y for yes, type A for absolutely. Because I think we all know that this is a must-win game. There's no two ways about that one. Since 2000, 16 teams have started 2-4 and made the playoffs. Of over 170. That's less than 10% of all teams that have started 2-4 that have ended up making the postseason. We have to win this week. It is not an option, in my opinion, because you look at the schedule after this game, and it is not getting any easier. We're facing the 4-1 Detroit Lions coming up. But after that, we've got a game against the 1-4 Raiders, who obviously that's extremely winnable. But beyond that, we have the Commanders. They made the playoffs last season. The Bills, they obviously made the playoffs last season. That's a fantastic football team at 4-1. And then we've got the Broncos, divisional game, at they're 3-2. They're really good as well. They just knocked off the Eagles last week. We're going to face 4 teams that made the playoffs in 2024 in the next 5 games. We cannot afford to enter that stretch 2-4. It would be absolutely killer, in my opinion. We have to win this week against the Detroit Lions, have to get back to 500 before we stare down that stretch. But you also have to subscribe to the channel. If you made it to this point, you just got to do it. If you're a real member of the Chiefs Kingdom, I know you will, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.